Alright, so summary for Kanban Automotive Revolution. Well, the first thing that I found really noteworthy that I really enjoyed about this game is the fact that it manages to condense a lot of choices down into a series of smaller, simpler, micro choices. First, you're picking between one of five, or in a two-player game, one of four, since you can't go where Sandra is, departments. So you just got to pick a department. Then once you're there, you just have to spin between 2 and 4 shifts. Well, between 1 and 4, I guess, if you weren't here in administration. And, spend them on appropriate actions in that department. That keeps it simpler and I think in a lot of ways helps reduce AP, or excessive overthinking about your move because you're making smaller decisions at a time that lead to other smaller decisions. And the whole using one worker throughout the entire game, completely eliminating the, bulk up on huge amounts of workers early on strategies you see in a lot of these, Euro games, really keeps things focused on different strategies than you might normally see. And there really isn't a super clear, I win kind of strategy to this game. Each option for scoring points has its own benefits. And the constantly shifting goals, both from your own hand, from the ones present in the meeting, and from the final goals, gives you a lot of opportunities to score in the ways that you feel like scoring. Now, certainly the busyness of the board is a bit of a turn-off at first when you're thinking about setup because that is a lot of little bits to arrange. Yeah. However, a nice simple little Lano brand box here makes your life so much easier.
Yes.
Hugely recommend spending the couple dollars on one of these. Fits right in the box nicely and just, it makes setup a breeze.
Cut my setup time in half.
Oh, easily. Then you get to look at all these cool bits and push these little cars down the assembly line. Oh no, little car accident. No.
And they're rainbow.
Yeah, they're bright, they're colorful, they're fun to look at, they're fun to fiddle with. Really A+ on the components in this one. Just outstanding. I mean, they're so much fun. And maybe you could have, made the cubes into little shapes or something.
No.
But
Sorry.
You.
I think that would be too much.
That's kind of my point. They went over the top, but a reasonable over the top, if that makes any sense.
I mean, we have tiny meeples for the HR.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, the certification
track, whatever.
But yeah, no, and it's it does a fantastic job of really immersing you in the components, and immersion is not something you generally find in a Euro game. They're generally more, pretty, but more number crunching, optimization, that kind of stuff. And this really helps you to a degree, feel like you're working in an auto plant. Putting this in your garage feels so much better than in most games where you would be putting this in your garage. And it really involves you with the game better. And also, I really have to mention these little player aids here for both Sandra and the scoring, the meetings, the end of week meeting, all of that. It is so nicely condensed and just easy to understand at a glance what Sandra's going to do. You go through the whole thing just step by step, so easy, makes what could be a complicated and easily, fudged process so simple and easy to follow, and it just works out brilliantly. And, the various wild cards you get throughout the game, like say the wild parts or the shifts or the books that you can spend in a variety of ways to advance yourself. I really enjoy how, in a lot of cases, you'll see the shift as the optimal choice, which it generally is, both for Sandra Insurance and the extra action, but sometimes you may want to take that book because it's going to let you use more actions than the 4 total. And, as you can see or saw if you watch the gameplay, you can, utilize a conservative shift banking heavy kind of system, or you can, put your shifts to work, try and score with them, and you can you can work it either way and have it function for you. Now, I do not consider this certainly to be a perfect game. It has its issues. One is that it does kind of feel, to a degree, a touch not quite solvable, but like you can get a system down that 90% of the time will flow pretty much as you want it to. For example, in my experience, having your first placement in the design department is pretty much always the optimal move. It lets you maximize every other department you visit for the next while, because you need those designs for almost everything else you're doing. And, that's a little frustrating when you notice obvious optimal moves like that. The variability of the goals helps, offset things like that a tad, but it is still frustrating when you see it. Now, of course, this is retailing for $40-50, somewhere in that ballpark. And, with the component quality and everything, absolutely understandable, well worth it. But, it's definitely not a heavyweight game by any means, though it is kind of dressing itself up as one component-wise. But if you come into it expecting, a light to medium kind of Euro gameplay, then you absolutely won't be disappointed, and it's well worth the expenditure. However, if you're looking for, a Caverna, a Terra Mystica, an Agricola, that sort of thing, you will not find it here. This game is much simpler than that, despite the, array of components and things on the board.
It's visually complicated, not mechanically complicated.
Yes, very, very much so, yes. If you're also looking for, player count, you're not going to find that here either. This is the, old Euro standard 2 to 4, which, kind of limits you a little bit. We do run into a bit of trouble with that, because generally we have either 2 or, 6 or 8 or what have you. It's either us or a big pile, which, lets me get out one of my key games fairly frequently. Oh my goodness, I love you, Keyflower. But, the games like this, the 2 to 4 player count's not quite as much. Now, we have a blast too playing them, don't get me wrong, but it's always nice to see the higher player count option. Give us a chance to share it more freely with others. Definitely, if you don't mind it being a little on the lighter, mediumer side of, game weight, then absolutely consider checking this out. It component-wise is a steal for the price. Really, really great. But, just make sure that you're not looking at this and going, ooh, heavy, because no. So, that should about wrap things up, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, until next time, get off your computer and play some more games.